A world of endless noise, one sound cuts through. GC Radio Hub. Your world, your sound. Imagine your favorite voices following you everywhere. From your smartphone to your car, your smart TV, even your virtual assistant. GC Radio Hub connects you to a universe of content. Check out our wonderful interviews on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio live music shows and podcasts. All at your fingertips. Android TV, Apple TV, Roku, Fire Stick TV. We're there wherever you are, because the only way to stay connected is to get connected. Download the GC Radio Hub app today and let your world come alive.
Hello, boxing fans. Welcome to Coach's Corner, a show where we try to give the greatest point of view from boxers, trainers, managers, cutmen. Today we have a special guest, Mr. Glenn Gilbert.
Good
How you doing,
evening, Jim.
Glenn? Not too bad.
Fine.
Not too bad
Good
yourself.
evening to you.
Glad to have you on the show.
My pleasure.
You are my first cutman to do this show, which is an honor. Which is an honor. Thank you.
I do feel honored for sure.
So give the people, the fans, a brief synopsis of your. I know you're in medicine, so you went all in boxing. Did you do any sports? Did you do any sports growing up?
Really, just in high school, I was not on the basketball team because I was 5'4".
Hey, Spud Webb.
I like
He
to
was
play. I grew up in Far Rockaway. I went to Far Rockaway High School. So we had a pretty nifty handball team, and I was quick on my feet at that point.
There you go.
So that was good.
Yeah. So, how did you what piqued your interest to become involved as a cutman in boxing?
Well, years ago, a lot of trainers had their camps up in the Catskill Mountains at the hotels, the resort hotels there.
Yes.
And my brother was a manager of one of those hotels, the Kutcher Hotel. And while he was there, he established a close friendship with Alex Stewart. And Alex became a family friend. And it was through Alex who encouraged me to get involved with cut work because he knew I was involved in the medical field. And that's where it all started.
Okay. And what year was that you decided to start in the professional boxing game?
2013.
2013. Okay. And so did you have any practice? Did you do the amateur fight? Or did you went straight to the pros and started doing pros?
No, my brother had some connections with some of the trainers down in the New York City area.
Yeah.
He introduced me to Tommy Gallagher. Tommy brought me into the Universal Gym in Queens. I spent a couple of hours with Tommy there at ringside, and Tommy taught me just some of the basics about working around the ring.
Yeah.
I came with a good number of years of experience in the medical field, and particularly emergency medicine. So taking care of bleeding injuries was something I was very comfortable with. What I needed was an introduction into the boxing world. Tommy gave me that, and then I jumped right into pro fights, and it's been a comfortable fit ever since then. I enjoy it.
Okay. So what were you say? How long before you really had to either show your skill or hone your skills as a cutman? Who was the first guy that actually got cut that you had to stop the cut for? Or do you recall that one? Because you worked in a lot of fights.
I've done quite a few bouts, and fortunately, to date, I've never had a fight stopped due to a cut. And part of the reason for that is a little bit of comfort and experience with working with the different medical products that the commissions allow. And when you have the right material and you have confidence in your skills, and it's a good combination for a successful outcome, and that's what we've been getting. So it works out well.
In your time in boxing, so you've been about 13 years now, what would you say were like the three I wouldn't say hardest. That's the right word to use. The three um the three states that were like maybe the most difficult to work with as far as cuts. I mean,
Well,
not so much.
I'll
Not
tell you,
much. Go ahead.
the the cut is not necessarily the difficult part of getting things done. Sometimes you have an athlete who comes to the corner and either stands or sits down, but keeps moving their head from side to side, flopping around like a
Yeah.
fish out of water. And you're trying, you got 45 seconds to try to get medication into that bleeding and stop things. And it becomes a little bit of a challenge. But by and large, for the fighter who returns to the corner and
Yeah.
focuses their attention on the trainer who's giving them good advice, my ability to just work quietly in the corner and get the job done, it's worked well for me, and the outcome has been very good. I faced a couple of serious, wide open, gash type cuts that some of the new sports commentators have remarked about how bad the cut looked. And yet,
Mm,
once again, if you have the right material and you know what you're doing, you get a
yeah.
good outcome. And I've been fortunate that only walk away with, without any problems.
So I got I like what you're saying. I got a question for you. So during that conversation, something just clicked inside my head. So during the fight, no names mentioned. Have you ever been in a corner when you say to yourself, "What in the world is coach talking about?" Because now you're not giving very good advice to a fighter. Have you ever ran across that? Maybe you haven't. But have you ever said to yourself, "Jesus Christ, this is the wrong advice he's giving this guy"? Not that you were
So
saying anything about, but just to yourself. I mean, you haven't mentioned any names. You just said you ran across
I
that.
I understand, and I'm probably not going to mention any names at all
No,
during the
no,
course of
no,
our
no, no. Don't do that.
conversation this evening. But there have been instances where, first, let me back up for a second. I come from a medical background, and that's the attraction to the sport, to try to
Okay.
keep the fighter moving through the
Yes.
process of one round after another. I'm not a boxing person per se,
Right.
so I pretty much stay in my lane unless there's something really blatantly looking like what the heck is going on here. But I'll
Yeah.
tell you you know, the biggest point of confusion I have is when you have a high profile bout, the coach is in the corner and doesn't open their mouth. They don't say a single
Mm,
word, no guidance. And
mm,
then when the fighter returns to the corner in between rounds, it's, hey, how you doing? No advice about more of this or less of that, or keep an eye on this. And
yeah.
I've seen that, and unfortunately, it does not lead to a good outcome, because I think many times the fighter brings skill and heart
Yeah.
to the fight, but relies upon that second set of trained eyes in the corner to advise on, fine tuning the performance.
Yeah.
Um, so by and large, I mean, most of the coaches that I've sit next to are very engaged. Some are a little bit more animated than others, but they're very engaged, and I think they're all focused on supporting their athlete for a good outcome, a win.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know we've had the pleasure of working the corner together. In most of the fights, I don't give a whole lot. I don't go crazy with a whole lot of advice. I just say what I see and say do this and maybe do that, and I leave it alone because there's not, from a fighter's point of view, having been a fighter myself, in the corner, there's not much that we really hear. All we want is some water and the next, how much time we got left, because the trainers sometimes says a lot of things, and half of that we don't grasp because maybe the cut man might be working on us or doing something. The last thing we care about is what the trainer's saying. That's why in the corner I just say what I think needs to be said. I don't say much because a lot of cats don't hear half of what you're saying in the corner anyway.
Well,
So
I I agree with your own observation that working with you in the corner, it's it's relatively quiet and subdued, and that
Yeah,
the overwhelming atmosphere is one of being calm and focused. And I think that that gives good results.
yeah. I appreciate. Thank you, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, because most guys, you can tell that who's not really a trainer, teacher of boxing. Because a lot of guys today, they're screaming, cussing, going off on a fighter. When the thing that you should be in the corner is relaxed. If you're relaxed, your fighter's relaxed. That's why if someone says,
Yes, yes,
"I fight him," I say, "My cut bad." I said, "No, it's not. Let the doc work. Let the doc work on it. It's not a problem." But I don't get all excited because you're cut. That's part of the game. So why should I get excited? A lot of trainers do get glued about that. Oh, you're cut. Okay, you don't take the fight of your cut. If they don't really know it, leave it alone. Let the cut man work on it and just shut up. You know. But some guys aren't like that. Some trainers just go off about the cuts and like. Has anyone? And like I said, no names. Has anybody in the corner just giving you a problem where you really couldn't do your job where you wanted to? Have you experienced that?
absolutely. And I'm going to bite my lip and not mention any names,
Yeah.
but
No, don't mention your name.
there's there one person in particular who I I probably will not work with again by my
Mm,
choice,
yeah.
because they want to control everything, including how you're going to do your cut work.
Are you
And
serious?
you
Oof.
know, it's most unfortunate. If I can just digress for a second, cut work isn't just putting adrenaline to a cut.
Yeah.
Cut work involves anticipating swelling. So if it's a real slugfest and somebody's getting hit around the eyes, you don't want that
Mm,
swelling to develop under the eye and cause the eye to close, right?
yeah.
So
Right.
if you have an end swell and you use the end swell aggressively, you can prevent the swelling from starting. So
Right.
to the trainer who says to the cut person, just sit down and I'll call you up if I need you, that's that's not a good recipe for success.
Yeah.
The cut person who knows their job and stays in their lane
Yeah.
addresses swelling before it happens, addresses cuts in a manner that is relaxed and calm, so that the fighter feels, gee, everything's under control because nobody's nervous here.
Yeah.
Psychologically, it's a good thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, there is one person that you're not going to see me sitting next to again at my own choice. It's just, you know
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
you take pride in the work that you do, and then someone's holding you
Yes.
back,
Yeah.
it's not a good recipe. No.
Yeah. Well, I try to tell most trainers that I come in contact with that are becoming professional trainers in the corner. I tell them, I said, listen, during a fight, give the cut man his opportunity to do his job because he's there for a reason. I said, whether your fight is cut or not, let him go in there and do his job. He might prevent the cut. Or maybe the grease that he used might be what works for him to stop a cut. I said, but he's there for a reason, not just to sit in the corner and look at the fight so far at a close distance. So his job is to try to prevent a cut from ensuing. But most of these guys nowadays they want to be the star of the show, so they want the whole 45 seconds in the corner that they're going to get, and that sometimes is bad because it hinders a person like yourself from doing your job of trying to prevent a cut that might occur. And I just tell people today, these guys want to be seen so bad because they really were never true fighters or trainers of boxing. They prevent you from doing your job sometimes.
Yes, yes, indeed. And from my own perspective, taking actions to keep the fighter calm and relaxed is
Yeah,
just as important as stopping the bleeding. Right? You
yeah,
want the fighter to feel that their focus should be on getting the job done and
yeah,
not be thinking about a cut. So most of the time, I can do whatever I need to do from the side, from the apron, from ringside, unless I need to stand in front of the fighter because I want to work on both sides of the face at the same
mm,
time. But if I
yeah.
just really need to pay attention to one side, I'll work from that one side and everything will be fine.
Mm, okay, yeah, because I try to. Sometimes it doesn't work out for us. During the fight, I like to give you at least, if it's a 12-round fight, at least 4 rounds when you're in the corner. You're the first person in the corner. Sometimes it doesn't always work out that way, but for me, it gives me, it allows me to just relax and say, okay, let him work on what he has to work on. That way I feel more comfortable knowing that a cut might not occur because you're doing your job the way you want to and helping the fighter, at least, like I say, patching them up, or if they're not cut, trying to prevent the cut from happening. So for me,
That
I just love it to death.
that also develops a level of comfort with the fighter, knowing that when the cut person is standing in front of them,
Yeah,
they know that, well, okay, this is just part of the routine.
yeah.
So even if there's not a major cut, but the fact that they're there on a routine basis, like every third or fourth round, the fighter becomes accustomed to that and once again can remain focused and calm.
Mm. So you've done a lot of fights. If you can, could you give me the 3 worst cuts that you ever worked on during a fight?
Well, the number one spot would be Vladimir Shishkin when he got a cut
Mm.
over his eye, and then it kept getting bigger and bigger. And Steve Farhood had mentioned, and again, Shishkin got the win, but Doc Gilbert gets the MVP.
There you go.
And that was a very challenging cut. It was in a
Yeah.
very dangerous place. That video clip I actually posted online because it shows the persistence of a good technique
Yeah.
yields a good result. So some of the products that I use, typically adrenaline in a 1 to 1,000 concentration, which is the
Okay.
number one product to go to. But when you have
Yeah.
a gaping cut or bleeding that won't really stop quickly, the secondary product that I use is Avitene, Avitene, which is a small little pad with like a powder
Wow.
substance on the pad. That works to form a blood clot. That has given me 100% success
Mm.
every time I've needed to go to it. So in this particular bout with Vladimir Shishkin, once that cut developed and widened,
Mhm.
adrenaline was no longer in the mix. It was strictly Avitene with an end swell behind it. The cold end swell, cold causes blood vessels to constrict, and that behind the Avitene worked very well to stop the bleeding. The fight continued, and Shishkin got the win, so that turned out well. Some of the other challenging fights are really, without going into names, when somebody has multiple fights, like cuts above both eyes,
Yeah.
you really need to be right in front, and you need 4 hands, but unfortunately, you only have 2.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have to become a little bit of a juggler. And once again, you have 45 seconds. So
Yeah.
one of the key personality traits of being a successful cut person, I believe, is training yourself to be calm under pressure.
Yes, sir.
So
I agree with
if
you.
you have that ability, no matter what you're looking at, you have the tools, you have the knowledge, you have the skill, and now
Yeah.
you have the patience and the mindset to get the job done, and you're good.
Okay. So you name maybe 2 other guys that you saw Deep's cut with that you're able to close and prevent them from losing by
Yes,
maybe.
right. So there were
Yes. Yes.
instances where the fight. Well, let me back up for a second. So when I meet the referee
Yeah.
and the ringside physician before the bout, I go out of my way to introduce myself and explain that I have a fair amount of medical training and experience using these products and controlling bleeding. That if they're looking at what they think is a serious cut, I would like the opportunity to try to use my skills before they consider stopping a bout. So I sort of set the stage to let them know that I have the confidence and I have the tools to get the job done. Give me the opportunity to do that job before you think about stopping a fight. So
Yeah.
having said that, there were, I don't know, easily a dozen bad cut could have led to a stoppage because of the location of the cut,
Mm.
typically over the eye, with the risk
Right.
of bleeding into the eye, causing it interferes with your vision. You can't defend yourself, and they stop the fight. So each of those times, I would guess that every one was an Avtine
Mm.
success. Because once you reach that point, in my experience, adrenaline is not going to be enough. There are other
Mm.
products out there that I'm not comfortable using because I don't
Yeah.
have confidence in their function. I have 100% confidence with Avitine. It's never left me wondering, gee, I wonder if this is going to work. It has
Yeah.
always worked, and I always have it with me. So figure in 13 years, maybe a dozen times there were cuts that could have been stopped or could have stopped the fight that did not. So I consider that to be a home run.
Mm. Okay. So in your time as a top man, are there like any states that were like more, I guess, strict than others as far as the cuts were concerned, and what you could use in the corner with the cuts?
Most commissions allow adrenaline in the concentration of 1 to 1,000. There is
Yeah.
a different concentration that has different purposes. And most also allow the Avitine.
Mm.
Avitine comes in three forms. One form is a powder, which
Hmm.
I mix into Vaseline so that I can
Okay.
stick it right in the cut and leave it.
Yeah.
Another one is on a little sponge that I mentioned before. And another one is on a small piece of gauze, which I no longer use because the others work so much better. Um,
Okay.
if any of your viewers are interested in these products, I've produced about 11 videos, and they are in depth, man. They could be boring as hell if you're not interested in this. They run anywhere between 7 and like 14 minutes, but it
Mm.
goes step by step on my techniques for
Yeah.
adrenaline, for Avitine. Anyway, and they're free. They're all on YouTube and they're
Yeah.
free. So by and large, in the United States and the Indian Nation locations in the US,
Yeah.
they pretty much all allow Avitine and adrenaline. Overseas, not too many places allow Avitine. They all
Mm.
allow adrenaline, but in Europe and the Middle East, they typically do not allow Avitine.
Okay. So speaking of that, question for you with that, what type of I guess I want to select coagulant. What type of Avitine? What different types of stuff can you use to close it or to at least stop the bleeding?
So there are different products that are out there, some of which are commonly available without prescription. They're relatively inexpensive. Um, but there are other cut people who have videos online who talk very well, very positively about these products.
Mm.
Some of them are derived from like seaweed, and they can be very effective. And from what I read, they're very effective. But when I looked at the product, uh, typically to reach maximum effectiveness, you have
Mm.
to hold that in pressing it in contact for a period of time longer than I would have available. And
Mm.
so the question comes up,
Yeah.
well,
Okay.
do I want to try it? So if you're a fighter and you're fighting because I mean this is important to you and you need the W
Yes.
or it's a title fight, it's an important fight. Do you want your cut man coming in and saying, hey, I've never used this product before, but I want to try and see if it really
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
So
I doubt it.
I've not tried it, and once again, I can't say enough good things about Avitine. It is
Yeah.
expensive. Each little sponge is over $100.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But if someone has a payday of 100,000, 200,000,
Mm. Hey Doc, I'm losing you on the mic.
Okay, we're back.
I'm back. I got you. Got
Okay.
you. Yeah, yeah. So what you say, Robert? Did he say something?
I didn't hear anything.
Okay, I thought I heard him say something. So, question for you. So, when you work in the corner of a fight, and has a fight ever like? Because I know you try to keep a corner calm. Has a fight ever gotten just like really, I guess, got off his game plan because he was cut? Have you ever seen fighters like just get just totally messed up because of a cut and it throws them off their game plan?
So there have been a number of times where there was a cut, and it interfered with the fighter's mindset. They
Yeah,
were they were nervous. They were upset. Um, I I encountered that early on in my career as a cut person, and from that moment forward, when I meet a fighter for the first time, after I introduce myself,
yeah.
I always tell them, if you get cut, relax. I promise I will take care of it 100%. You just
Mm,
focus on getting the job done.
there you go.
Um, I try to preemptively avoid that from
Yeah.
becoming a problem. But I have a question for you,
Yes,
as
sir.
as a fighter, as a champion, and now as a coach. Do you ever get a feeling about, hey, I wonder if this cut person knows what they're doing, or if there's a cut, do I have confidence in that cut person? I mean, does that enter a trainer's mind?
It might enter a trainer's mind, but it's never entered my mind. I'll tell you why. Very good question, by the way. I have to I have to get a feel for it long before I get in the ring with you. And like I watched you a few times before we ever got together, a couple times. And I saw your work, and I would ask the fighter or his trainer, how you feel about him. And they said, and I always got the feedback was always great. It was always great. So I said, you know what, I definitely want to use him. When the time came up, we worked out. I just go with usually a person that I've seen for a while. If I have a new fighter and a cut me, say like if I have a new fighter now and he's like really good, I would give you a call first because I know you would. But in the past, I would do the same thing if I had a fighter that needed a cut man. I would go to somebody that I knew and that I trusted. Somebody that's new that I don't know, I've never seen before. I'm not going to ask them to do any cuts. And they might be good, but if I don't know you, I've never seen you in the ring, and it could be that they just wanted to fight. I don't really go to that person. But I'd rather have a face that I know that my mind can trust that's going to be able to do his job properly. Now, if somebody new that they've introduced me to, like I think when we first met, Carissa fought, and they mentioned you, and I said, not a problem. I got to get by from it. Yeah, I got a problem. And it worked out great, So that our first time together was fantastic. I told you a story during lunch. You laughed. But no, for me, I've never really had that problem because I try to get a feel for that. If I never seen you work, I try to get a feel for you. Or I'll ask somebody, "Has this guy ever seen this guy work?" Because I've seen cut men that listen, they don't know what they're doing, and they go in there. I saw a guy one time. He just went in there and he took what do you call that?
The
Not
swab.
not a swab. What's it? What the cotton on the swab? And he took the cotton and he just jammed it in the guy's eye. And like that was gonna stop it. And I said, hey, man, take the cotton out of his eye before the bell rang. He said, oh, I gotta do that. I said, listen, where you get this guy from? That was my last time. I couldn't use him, but like I say, with you, you do your job, you do it well. You don't try to, steal the show. You're just there for one purpose to make either prevent the cut or if the fighter gets cut, stop the cut. Because, and what a lot of people don't realize is fighter has a cut. Mentally, a lot of fighters, they can't deal with that. So when you come in and you stop that, or at least you stop the bleeding or slow the bleeding down, that helps them because, some guys they just lose it once they see blood, out the gate. And that's why they don't realize the cut man is so important to have because who wants to bleed and lose a fight because you were bleeding? Nobody wants
Yes,
that. A lot of guys don't realize that. They just get here, why should I pay him? Well, you should pay him because if you don't, you might lose this fight on cuts.
that's that is a risk. But to back up for 1 second, the point that you were describing about the relationship between the
Yeah,
cut person and the coach, it has to be smooth. It has to be comfortable. Each
yeah,
person has to know what their role is going to be so that they can complement each other and never have friction at the corner.
yeah.
So,
Well, a question. Okay, I got a question for you on that. Because to me, it's doable, but I'd rather not do it. Have you ever seen guys that are trainers and the cut man? Have you seen those guys work the corner?
so once again, without mentioning any names,
Yeah, I'll mention this.
there I've come across individuals who train, even top tier athletes,
Yeah,
who also say, I'm going to do the cuts. So my question would be, and it's not my place to challenge it. If that's what you want to do and the fighter is comfortable with it, that's fine. But you as a coach, you tell me that you have 100% of time in
yeah,
that in between rounds. So you're going to use 50% of that for cuts and 50% for coaching? Or do you
yeah.
want to devote 100% for coaching and let someone else put in 100% for cuts?
Exactly, exactly.
I don't think that's a hard decision.
Yeah, no. But well, it's not a hard decision, but I think some guys' ego gets the best of them. They want to be everything. You can't. To me, I love the fact that you're in the corner because that's one less thing I got to do. All I got to do is give instructions and see how the fighter feels, and let you get. I try to give you at least 40 seconds out of the 30, out of the 60 seconds that we have. Because you're more valuable in between rounds than I am. Because like I said, most fighters don't really listen to what you're saying in the first place. So I'd rather they get worked on by you for whatever reason, whether they're cut or not. Some fighters it gives them a sense of like, man, I have the big top because you're working on it so nice and you're doing your thing, and a lot of them sometimes don't realize, and I got to pay this guy for this because you're working so good, your work is needed, and they don't realize how valuable you are to a corner.
Well,
I got to see that they don't see that. Oh, he just cut me. I didn't bleed. So what? That was his job. Make sure that you didn't bleed. You know.
yeah. I disagree with you a little bit about the effect that the coach has in the corner for the full time. I
Yeah.
think it's very valuable whether you're actively doing something or just being a calm presence there.
Yeah.
The athlete knows that when it comes to training the performance, the trainer is the person.
Yeah.
And if it's cut related, if the cut person is there and interacting in a manner that does not interfere with the normal flow between the trainer and the fighter, the athlete, if
Yeah.
everything is happening all at the same time, then you have a recipe for success once again. And nobody is stepping on anybody's toes. The
Right.
training job gets done, the cut work gets done, the fighter goes back at the sound of the bell and gets back to work. Life is good.
Yeah.
The point that you're raising about pay, is the cut person's job is almost like fire insurance. Do we really need it? Well, if your house burns down and you don't have fire insurance, it's too late. If you have a good cut person that prevents swelling or prevents a stoppage because of a bleeding, then you got the win. you get your purse, and your next fight is going to have a larger purse because you didn't take a loss. On the other hand, if you use the cut person who maybe didn't have the skills, didn't do a good job, didn't bring the right equipment, or for one reason or another, the fight was stopped because of a cut that really didn't need to be stopped, but it
Yeah.
was, and now you have a loss on your record when before that maybe you didn't. What's the value for your business for
Right.
the next purse? It's going to go either stable or down.
Yeah.
So having a good person, a good cut person, is to me is a lot like insurance.
Mm.
It's if you perform as a fighter and the cut person performs as a cut person and the trainer performs as a trainer, everybody to the best of their abilities, you get the victory, you move on, and your earnings go up. And that to me is a business decision. That to me is a no-brainer.
Yeah. No. No. Very, very good. Very well put. Very well put. Very well put. So going back to the cuts for a minute. So would the worst place to receive a cut, would you say over the eyebrow or over the eyelid?
Yeah, just on just underneath the eyebrow on the lid
Hmm.
is
Yeah.
probably the hardest part because I mean, if it's against the bone, the orbital bone, you can put pressure. But if it's on
Okay.
the lid, you can't put pressure against the eyeball,
Yeah.
right? So that becomes a little bit more challenging. And
Mm-hmm.
there's one other point regarding that. If you get a cut, if you get a cut in that area, if you get a direct hit that causes a cut around the eyebrow,
Right.
the eye behind the eyebrow or deep behind it is the bone, the
Mm.
socket that the eye sits in, the
Right.
orbital bone. That's a very, very fragile bone. So if you get hit with enough force to create a cut, that's unfortunately also enough force to break that bone.
Mm.
If that happens, instead of having a smooth bone, you
Mm.
might have a bone with a break in it. And if
Yeah.
you do have that break, and I have seen this, um, one of the muscles that controls the movement of the eye, there are 6 muscles that surround the eye. One of
Yeah.
them can get caught in there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just a pup.
No. Here we go. Huh? Okay. Sorry about that.
So if the muscle gets caught in there,
Excuse me. Go ahead.
give the pup a bone. Come on, be a sport.
No, my wife said she's gonna take it in there.
Okay. If the muscle gets caught in there, unfortunately, the fighter's gonna have double vision,
Yeah.
and then they cannot protect themselves. And I
Yeah.
have seen this, and the fight was stopped. So
Mm.
um, just being, after each round, if there's been serious hits, I think it would be good advice for the cut person to say to the fighter, just before you leave the ringside, can you see okay?
Mm.
Just to confirm that, right? Because I
Yeah.
mean, ultimately, your responsibility is for the fighter's safety, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, question for you. Just speaking of cuts like that. So, I was cut once, but it was so small you couldn't. I got cut inside the eyelid. Is that a dangerous place to really get a deep cut like? Because it's your eyelid. Mine was small. It wasn't bad. It was a small cut.
So any cut can be controlled and stopped. It's just a question
Yes.
of where it's located, and then you modify your technique when you address that cut. If the
Okay.
cut is on the eyebrow, there's bone behind that. You can press with the end swell,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then the Avitene as hard as you want. If it's on the eyelid, then you don't want to use a whole lot of pressure, but you still need to apply the Avitene. And if it's
Mm.
on the eyelid, you should not put Vaseline on the eyelid. When a fighter fights and they sweat, if that
Yeah.
Vaseline drips into the eye, you got a problem.
Mm. Okay. I hear you. So early in your career, Was there ever, not before you became the cut man that you are today, but early on in your career, did you ever like deal with a cut that you said, man, I got to really work on this one because, say like your first 15 fights or so, because, early, when you first started, you were new. Was there ever a cut that you said, man, I got to really work on this cut to stop this guy from bleeding?
Yeah, I would say,
You ran across that?
um, you know, when you're working in the emergency department, somebody comes in and there's a cut, there's bleeding.
Yeah.
You have a whole group of people, you have whole staff, and you have every piece of equipment and supply that you could possibly want. When you're ringside and the bright lights are on, and maybe there is television or not, but the fact of the matter is, everybody is focused on you, and you don't want to screw up. So I would say for the first, I don't know, maybe a couple of years, facing what could be a significant cut, um, always caused me to, let's say, be more direct or more focused. That's not even the
Mm.
right word. I was never nervous,
Yeah.
but maybe overly attentive, more so than I really needed to be.
Mm.
Uh, so maybe in those situations, um, maybe I did more than I really needed to. Maybe I could have controlled it with just adrenaline, but I went to the Avitine not wanting to take a chance.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Over the years, that has um, transitioned to a point where just by looking, I can eyeball what I need to do and the best
Mm.
approach, so that
Yeah.
when you're up there, and part of the technique is I always wear my own um, corner jacket, and I have 5 pockets, and I always
Yeah.
keep the same material in the same pocket. So I never
Mm.
need to look down. I always know where everything is. So I can pretty much work just, by memory, taking what
Yeah.
I need and getting the job done. It goes very smoothly.
Mm. Okay. What so going when you're fighting when you're not fighting when you're doing cuts overseas, do the officials tend to be, I guess, more for their countrymen, or are they in most cases fair across the board with all fighters?
Now that is a question that I'm going to have to be very careful when I answer. But let me say that,
But don't mention the country. Just leave that part out.
yeah, yeah, it's like no matter where you go overseas, you're always in the B side. Even if you're not on the
Yeah.
B side, it's like the odds are stacked against you. It's definitely the feeling that I get.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I've been at fights where I think that the athlete I was working with won hands down, and then turns out that the decision goes the other way for the hometown person.
Yeah.
I've seen that more than once, and it's really very distressing to see that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I fortunately I never had that problem as a fighter, but no, I get where you're coming from because I've seen that on a lot of occasions with fighters. That's just the way of the world with boxing. If you're that's one reason why Clarissa really doesn't want to fight overseas. And I tell her all the time, listen, you're the best at what you do. I don't care where you fight. You can beat whoever your opponent is, but she is more comfortable fighting in America because overseas she doesn't really trust the judging or whatever's going on over there. And
I
I
I
understand.
would
I understand where it's coming from.
I would have to agree with that assessment 100%.
Yeah,
You can go in, you can perform perfectly and still have a decision go against you for no
yeah,
reason other than that person was a local celebrity. And why it's not worth the risk.
yeah,
Even if the payday was above and beyond what you would normally expect,
yeah.
um, it, it does. It's not a good situation, I don't think.
Well, in her case, she has the promoter and they fights in America, so it works out in her favor for her. She's more comfortable here, and then that's what you want. A fighter that's comfortable and ready to go, and that's prepared properly for fight. Me, I was prepared, but I didn't care. I listened. You want me to defend my title? I defended my title 4 times with fences. I didn't care. Well, that fight, the money's right. Let's go to work. I didn't care about where I fought at in the decisions. It turned out good for me, but I understand where you're coming from when you say what you say because you're right. In most cases, it doesn't turn out the favor of the visiting fighter to their country.
No,
But I was blessed in that way because mine worked out for me well. So I'm I'm okay with that one.
yeah, unfortunately, not all judges are.
Are honest. Yeah. There you go. I hear that. That's boxing. That's sports.
They may not have the same vision that you or I may have.
Yeah. So in your travels, how many different from boxing? How many different countries have you visited as for boxing cutman jobs?
Um, Iceland, Belgium,
Ice, man,
France,
ice. Okay.
Germany, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, France, England, the Caribbean, Canada.
Yeah.
It's been
So,
around.
so question. Okay. So listen. Right after that, you said Iceland. Who fought in Iceland?
It's like
I never heard that one. Was it a title fight or was it just a fight?
Colbean?
With title fight?
No.
Okay. How was it over there? How was Iceland?
It's like, first of all, my schedule, I fly in one day, typically the day of the weigh-in. I do the
Yeah.
fight,
Yeah.
and
See.
typically I fly out the next morning.
Yeah.
I'm at the
Yeah.
airport at 3 a.m. So I don't really get to do a lot of sightseeing. And pretty much, um, it's kind of universal. A ring is a ring, a crowd is a crowd. The language may be different, the dress code may be different. But once the lights go on and the bell rings, it's pretty much all the same for me.
All right. What country did you enjoy the most that you visited as a cut man? What country really that you
Germany,
truly enjoyed? Which one?
Germany.
Well, okay, you're right. 'Cause now it's when I was a kid growing up, it was East and West Germany. Now it's just Germany. Yeah.
I was right. I was in Berlin.
Okay.
I was in
East Berlin or just
Berlin.
Berlin? Is it no longer East Berlin? Just Berlin?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah.
Correct.
Wasn't bad. Yeah. That wasn't a bad place. But I tell you what's
And I,
crazy about that. When I was in Germany, back then it was East Germany. I was walking through a park and I had a strange feeling. And when I got back to the hotel, I told one of the coaches, I said, man, I just walked through this park. And I told him the name of the park. And he said, yeah, because that was a battlefield that you walked through. He said, probably dead body, a lot of dead bodies underneath. He said it was formerly a battlefield. I said, well, how they turned into a park? He said, it's not hard to do. He said, but where you were walking, a lot of bodies there. Wow, I felt really, really strange to walk in this park, you know. And I don't know what I was feeling, but I felt something. I got to get out of that park.
that's exactly the same experience that I had when I was there. That made that particular trip so emotionally rich. That
Yeah.
particular trip, I traveled actually a day earlier, so I did have a full day to see some
Mm.
of the city and the history.
Yeah.
That city was where I spent my time and
Mm.
made that trip so remarkable.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a place that I would tell more people if you can visit Germany if you can. It's a lot of history, a lot of
Indeed,
history.
yes, indeed.
Yeah, yeah. So how does your schedule look now? Are you gonna be busy the rest of this year or
This Friday, I
this
have the
summer?
the Hall of Fame weekend.
Okay.
That's Friday night, and then Saturday morning. So I have the fights Friday night. Then at 3 a.m., I need to go to the airport. Uh, I'm flying out Saturday to Grand Rapids for Salida Promotions
Mm.
big event in Grand Rapids. That's Sunday night. And then the following Thursday, I'm leaving for uh, Long Beach, California
Ah.
for the Misfits event with a local guy here, Amir Cashman Anderson, whose hat I'm
Okay.
wearing.
Ah.
He's
So,
a real superstar,
yeah.
up and coming talent. Certainly going to make a lot of noise in the boxing community, and I'll be going working his corner out in Long Beach, California, that following weekend. So, 3 cities within this week coming up. It's going to be busy.
So I'm glad you brought them up. Misfits. So I thought they were more like a celebrity type platform. They do real fights now.
They do the Misfits Pro, and so their events are a combination. They put on some uh, pretty exceptional talent, which is
Yeah.
good, and they put on a very professional and very organized show. I mean, there are some promoters that try hard but don't really make the mark.
Mm.
Um, Misfits does a good job. Salida Promotions does a good job.
Yeah.
Matchroom does a very good job. Um, Top Rank does a good job as well.
Yeah. 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 Speaking of top rank, I think they've been around for years. Do you think once Bob does step down, either his son-in-law or one of the other guys at the top of the chain will take over for him, or they're going to just let it unfold up?
That's an excellent question that I've been thinking about. Bob Arum is at some point he's going to no longer be leading that ship, and honestly,
Yeah.
I don't know what direction it's going to take. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, because the son-in-law has been around, but not too long enough to really be a good person of boxing. The other guys, they're kind of long in the tooth. Also, I don't know who really would have that fire inside them to keep Top Rank really going at this
Right.
point. You
Yep.
know, it's like Don King promotion. Once Don got old, it fell off because no one else was there to take his spot. And he had a great thing. I would have thought Carl King would have stepped in his shoes, but when Don ran Don King Productions, he ran it. No one else ran it. He ran almost everything pretty much. He gave certain jobs out to certain people, secretary and stuff, but he ran that show pretty much by himself, the way he wanted it to be run. And I
Yeah. Well,
think I think Bob does the same thing, but he does give out a little more leeway to other people to do their job than Don.
given the climate of professional boxing, um, you might see Top Rank maybe get together with another leading promoter and
Mm,
join forces.
yeah, that'd be a great idea. Yeah, yeah. How do you see today's? Like you said, you got Salinas Promotions. You got the gentleman over in England. Mentioned his dad used to be a promoter. Young guy, not that young. Eddie Hearn. How do you view these guys as promoters? Are they top notch today in today's world of boxing? Elitas and Eddie Hearn.
I think they both do a very good job.
Yeah,
They have talent. They are very focused on pleasing the fans, putting together events that people want to see.
yes.
And I think they're both doing a very good job.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing about Salinas Promotions, he goes ground roots also, like the fight coming up that you're going to. He does smaller shows to build these guys up and make them become superstars or household names in boxing. And that's nice.
Correct.
That's nice for boxing. That's nice for boxing.
He likes to support and develop athletes. He was an
Yeah,
athlete himself, right? He was a champion
yeah.
himself,
He's a
just like
boxer.
yourself. Yeah, indeed. So I think he brings a perspective that includes not just the knowledge, but also the heart and the spirit of the athlete, and he
Yeah,
looks to combine that with a business model that gives the fans what they want, and hopefully grows into a company that puts on quality shows in communities that appreciate all of the work that goes in to making a show, from the athletes training
Yeah.
to a venue that's accessible to everybody. And look, Salida has done a lot for bringing boxing back to Detroit.
Yes, sir. Yes, he has.
Well, he's done a lot of shows in the Detroit area, and he gets a good crowd. He's got an excellent following, and his shows are all high level and professional. They run very smoothly
Yeah.
because of a team that he has built. So it's a very good combination, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. And you gotta give him credit for that. Credit where credit's due. Man, I just had a question for you. It just slipped my mind. I gotta get it back. It was a pretty good question. Hopefully. So, just if someone needs to reach you, is there like a social media place they can reach you at, or do you
Yeah,
do like Facebook or Instagram?
I'm on Instagram, but I really don't know how to use it. I'm on Facebook, NY Cutman, Doc Gilberg. But if you just look up Doc Gilberg on YouTube, I have 11 videos up there, and they all have my contact information on there. But I have a question for you. What would you recommend? I mean, I've held workshops for people
Yeah.
interested in becoming cut people. If somebody came to you and said, "Hey, can you spend some time with these group of 11 people who want to become trainers," what
Mhm.
advice would you give them as far as selecting or working with a cut person? How would you evaluate whether or not the cut person is going to be right to amplify your work in the corner?
Well, I would say, listen, let's do it this way then. There's a boxing card come up. I got a fighter or two on that card. Why, if if you're in the area, why don't you come down? I'll let you work the corner. Let's just see how we gel together. Let's see if it works. Let's get together and let's see what works. If it works, it's great. Let's do it. If it doesn't, we'll both know. We'll say, hey, at least we tried, and you can go your own way. I would tell somebody to give that guy a shot. Let's see what he knows. See how he works in the corner, what he does. If he's compatible with what you want him to do, see how it works out for you. You don't know until you really try with that person in your
Understood.
presence.
Are there
So
any
for me, that's what I do. I said, come on, work the corner. Let's see what happens.
Are there any specific qualities that you would look for or you would recommend that somebody look for in a cut person?
I guess for me, it's all about just being calm in the corner, just relaxing, and don't get all riled up over something. Just be calm and collected in the corner. I mean, especially a cut man, because to me, my biggest concern for the fighter is if he sees anybody in that corner that's not on the same page and they're all just panicked and
Sure.
fighter might think, "Oh, am I losing?" He might just take it wrong and think he's losing the fight. It might throw his whole fight game off track. So my thing is just be calm and collected in the corner. Do your job. Whatever your job is, when it's your time to do it, just do it. Don't start. Because I've seen trainers in the corner just cuss the fighter out, but you're not telling him anything to do in the corner. You're going off on him. How do you think his mindset is when it goes after that next round?
Yep.
You didn't tell him anything to do properly for the fight, but you ranted and raved on him and cussed him out in the corner. He's all messed up. Come fight from the next round. So my thing, I just be calm and collect in the corner for me. And if you know your job, just do it. Because I'm not gonna step on your toe. I'm not a close stopper cut. So I'm not gonna try to. I was awfully stupid trying to stop the cut. They said, "Me get the hell in the corner right now." So I'm gonna let you do your job.
To know your job, to be prepared so that you can do the job,
Yeah.
and to be calm and to work alongside, but not interfere with
Yeah.
the trainer,
Well,
the coach.
Because if I let you in the corner, you're gonna know right away if the guy knows what he's doing at all.
Yes.
Some guys
yes.
try to fake it. And so, that's probably gonna be your last time in the corner with me. Because if you don't know how to do your job, I don't know how to do your job. So if we're both lost. If you can't do it and I can't do it, fighter's in trouble. So
Yes.
I try to come in. As long as you know what you're doing, just do. I'm gonna let you do your thing. I'm gonna get out your way. Whatever you got to do. You know, if I can help you, like I said, a lot of times I might put the ice on the back for the cut man. I might pull out the trunks, let them breathe, and do a couple of things. Whatever I can do, if you need me to massage your legs or something, I'll do that. But when it comes to cuts, I'm in kindergarten, brother. I don't know what I'm doing. So
Okay, and from, from a business model, the trainer does their job and the cut person does their job, then the value of the next fight goes up. So
it should.
it's a good combination. Yes, sir.
It should. You know, it should. But you know, unfortunately, in today's world, a lot of, and maybe I'm gonna say I'm gonna take a flack for this, but you can either agree or not. Your job is highly underrated, underpaid, honestly, because the things you get. If a man can stop a cut and save my fight for me, even if he doesn't, if he's in the corner, the fact that he's there doing his job, he should be paid properly for that fight. And a lot of these fighters don't think that because you're not either if you're not stopping the cut, some of them are like, why should I pay him? Because he was there. Just if you did get cut, his service was there just in case, and he did things in the corner during the fight for you. You know, a lot of fighters they think, why should you give him the minimum? No, you should give what he's supposed to get. But you know, unfortunately, a lot of fighters don't think that way about the cutman until they get a cut and you prevent something. You prevent them from losing a fight. Now they want to give you praise. Well, you've been doing the same job, just told all the time.
Well,
And
your perspective, I agree with completely. And myself, when somebody is just starting out,
yeah,
I mean, if I'm there already working another fight, then I don't expect, and I'm not going to ask for any payment whatsoever. I'm there and I'm
yeah,
happy to help you out. But when you're in the top tier,
yeah,
you're going for a title fight, or it's a big purse, or it's a really important bout. It's at that point where the value of the cut person really needs to be taken into consideration, and you deserve to be paid as such.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, listen, I'm with you. You know, my cut man, when I first started out, he got paid what he got paid. But when I won the title, his pay went up because my pay went up. Whatever
Yes.
percentage, but he got that, you know, and he asked me one day, first time I gave him a raise, he said, why you give me this? I said, because my pay went up, so your pay goes up. And he couldn't believe that. He said, man, I said, no, it's fair. Why should I? You worked. If you just put grease on my eyes for 10 rounds and I didn't get cut, that's not your fault. You got to get paid just like I got paid, you know? So, but a lot of guys just don't think that way. And I'm not going to say in today's boxing world, because what's happening back when I was fighting. It's just a lot of guys don't, your job is very important. And a lot of people don't realize what you do in the corner. Because you're doing just more than just giving them putting grease, you know, you got end swell, you got certain things certain guys use, you know, and you know, I just think that I'm gonna say something stupid because too bad you can't have a union, but then trainers don't have unions either. No, trainers don't have unions either, man. You know, well, you know, but too bad we can't have something like that. But you know, we can't really have that because I'm gonna say it. I don't care because the sanctioning bodies they're not really right. So how can we have a union that be right? It's just, you know, because we're fighting at that point we'll be fighting against the whole system, and that's not
Well,
going to work.
I think the key to that is education. When people understand what goes, the moving parts of being a successful cut person, when people understand what's involved at the promoter's level, at the fighter's level, at the trainer's level, and they develop an appreciation that it's not just my neighbor Louie from down the block who's going to bring a cotton swab, and stick it in your cut, but
Yeah,
there's training, there's skill, and there's an active ingredient. Your participation is an active ingredient
yeah,
into the successful outcome of the bout. And once that level of education is instilled into the fighter's team,
Yeah.
then I think you'll see a recognition for the value of that cut person. So,
I hear you. Well, listen, Doc, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I'm glad you were able to be a part of this show. I like the insight. I like the input. It's refreshing to get a different point of view from a cut man's perspective. So I'm glad that you were able to take time out to be on this show, and I appreciate it very much.
thank you for having me, and thank you for arranging for that valet parking. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So now he's telling jokes. I told him a joke. I told him a story, a real story years ago, and he laughed. So anyway, man, it's great talking to you. I hope to see you soon, and take care of yourself. All right, bye. Take
Pleasure.
care.
Stay
Bye.
well. See you soon.
I called in sick to work for a radio station's birthday party. Before you judge me, hear me out. GC Radio Hub is turning 2, and they're not just any radio station. They connect the real world with gaming worlds like OpenSims, IMVU, 5M, Second Life, and GTA, to just name a few. The 3-day streaming party they are throwing is the most insane anniversary party ever. I'm obsessed with their old school hip hop and R&B, Southern soul, Afro beats, gospel, jazz, and comedy shows. So when they said birthday explosion party, I called in sick. My boss thinks I have